as I said, we're going to do a little bit more with ellipses. But before we do that, let's loosen up just a little bit more. Draw a couple of lines on the top of the next page. And go ahead with kind of medium pressure, about 1/8 of an inch or smaller apart. Let's hatch this surface. Did I tell you guys about this summer about this Nova special documentary that I saw where a guy had purchased a painting and essentially he said, you know what, this isn't some anonymous artist, this is Leonardo da Vinci. Did I tell you all about that? So there's this awesome Nova special, and there's a fella who, he was over in Europe somewhere, I believe. He's an art collector. He was at an auction, and he saw this painting that they had labeled as an unknown artist, but they thought it was like 17th century German. And he said, you know what, that looks like Renaissance to me. That looks like Italian Renaissance. And so he left somebody there to bid for him, but he gave him kind of a limit of something. I don't remember exactly what it was, $18,000 for this painting. And that wasn't enough to buy the painting at that time. And so, a few years later, I want you to put just a dot over here on the left side of the page, maybe about halfway up the page. And then draw a line up at an angle, and then draw a horizontal line, and then draw a line down at an angle. The angles aren't ultimately that important. Just try and follow along with me. So he sees the painting again in New York at a gallery, and it's on sale for like $20,000, and he immediately buys it. Well, so he gets some, again, he believes it's of high quality, and he believes it's maybe Italian Renaissance. And so what he does is he hires some people to kind of check, some forensic people to kind of check in on it. And so they spend a long time, and they say, you know what, this is just really, really high quality stuff. So here's what I want to do before I finish my story. We're going to go from, let's do it in the middle first. I'm going to go from a thin ellipse, and what I want you to work towards is towards a full circle down here. So you're going to take your ellipse and get a little bit wider as it goes towards the center, and then ultimately have a circle. And you're going to do that for all three of these. So my question to you, I'm kind of thinking of this dot as a right vanishing point. Some of the lights in here?
Yeah, like hard to see.
By the, yeah, I can do it. There's the right one. No. There we go. Is that right?
Yeah.
So if this is my right vanishing point, these ellipses are all on what facing surfaces? What's that? Yeah, left facing surfaces. Which again, we'll go a little bit more into detail on that in a minute. Or actually, not this week. Or not today. one thing to be aware of is you guys pick, as we're sketching these, I also want you to continue thinking about the angle with which your page is at, and that's really what this story has to do with. So these forensic guys, they start looking at it and they're like, man, this is a masterpiece. Just the fine brushwork. It's just, this is an awesome painting. This artist was obviously extremely talented. And so he says, well, maybe it was a Da Vinci. And then so you're watching this Nova and you're like, this guy has some gall, right? He buys a painting. They say it's Germanic. They say it's 17th century. He's like, you know what? This is Leonardo da Vinci. I think it is. And so how do they go about proving that? Or how do you go about trying to figure that out? So as we're talking about ellipses, what we did over here, if this was our horizon line, right? This is our right vanishing point, and really this is kind of our horizon line here as well. But the rules that we talked about this summer are still in place. If it's an ellipse sitting on a horizontal surface, as it moves away from the horizon line, it gets thicker. Right? So, in fact, you might even just make that note. Some of these, what I hope the sketchbook does is it not only serves as exercises, but it'll also serve as notes if you need to go back and reference things. So these ellipses get wider as they move away from the horizon line. And then if I've got a left or right facing ellipse, whether it's above or below the horizon line or on it, it doesn't matter. But as it approaches the vanishing point, it gets wider. And that's why I even said, if it would kind of come over and hit that vanishing point, it would actually be a circle. But they get wider as they come towards that vanishing point. And obviously this is a pretty skewed perspective, but those are some good rules to think about if you're sketching something. So one of the first things in this story that they notice, other than the high quality brushwork and craftsmanship, is they notice that all of the cross-hatching on this painting, as opposed to going from bottom left to top right, was facing the other way. So like all the little fine detail cross-hatching that was in the painting was oriented in this way. And so what do you think that means? What's that? Yeah, so they determined, more than likely this artist is left-handed, which if you start to think about the number of, artists that are left-handed, you essentially reduce your, I don't know what the percentages are, but you reduce your pool of potential candidates down considerably. Then so they carbon date the paper. By the way, this is number 3. I'll stop this video.